As they say in Germany, welcome on, people. I couldn't think what people was in German. I didn't listen. Sorry to you, Frau Sykes, who used to teach me in GCSE German. Absolutely massacre that intro. Welcome back to the selection table. This isn't a themed fancy dress. I am injured. UCL. We'll tell that story a bit later because it may make you feel all a little bit better. But if I told you it was a 2-week out, turned into a 6-week, and it's now 14 to 20 with surgery, you'll understand that Pom is an idiot and would be delisted if he was a professional footballer. Joining me from new surroundings. He's on vacation, but he never stops working for the Pommy and Oz channel. Mr. Leckdog, how are you, mate?
I'm well, mate. I'm in Bris Vegas. I'm looking over the Brown Snake River right now. Definitely not holiday. Definitely work, and very, very tired. But it's okay. We're here to tell people what the team will look like this week, and there's going to be plenty of changes, which is exciting and sad.
Mate, it is always sad. It is, yes. Says, apologies, I'm working one-handed, so you have no idea how hard it is to type left-handed. Interesting story. I went for a wee just before this, and you have no idea how hard it is to unbuckle your pants left-handed. I have never done it. And at high school, people used to tell me if you do it left-handed, it feels like someone else has done it.
A stranger.
I would say it would be very similar, like someone else was doing it if they were in the middle of an RTA, is how I'd describe it. So that was very weird. Joining me, not having an affair in Bris Vegas, because he is in his room. The great man himself, the man that we're probably going to need tonight. We need a bit of fucking positivity. Got the legend that is Ian Brownie. How are you, mate?
Oh, I could potentially be better. The injury news keeps coming, and it's hard to keep you in a good mood. But, I mean, it makes this show even more entertaining. There's a lot more to discuss, so very keen to get into it tonight.
Hey, mate, I'm looking forward to it. And I will tell the story after I introduce this next guy. A guy that's still repping North London after his brothers. Well, we wouldn't say brothers, probably the drunk uncle that is that you're told to stay away from after he's had 4 cans. That's what Tottenham are, probably. I've got the great man himself, untitled blues host. He's on SEN. He's literally like Kim Kardashian after the tape got released. He's on everything. I've got the great man himself, Paolo. How are you doing?
If I speak, I'm in trouble. Big trouble. I don't want to be in trouble. The last half an hour has just gone bonkers on social media, and Tottenham gets battered everywhere they go. What a day.
It could be worse. We could be going for Tottenham. Absolutely.
What a day.
Are we going to get Snapper on as the 5th coach for selection table, Paolo?
Oh, Jesus Christ. No, I think he's been hooked.
You did very well after the game, mate. Very, very well.
Consummate professional here, mate.
That was crazy, mate.
Mate, well, I mean, we trialed something last week, and you half liked it, you half didn't. So what I've done is I think I've appeased all the DMs that you've sent me, and I think I've nailed the selection table. But you're all asking how I did it. Okay, so what I did is it first started hurting when I was coaching a student because I tried to show them why they were fat in a shot. So I felt a little bit of pain in my elbow because I did catch it fat and prove my theory right. I ignored it, and I did some housework. I built a table, right? And it hurt a bit more. So I went to the doctors. He did a scan. He was like, it's just a sprain, 2 weeks. Then I went and did the garden, and my mate knocked a concrete slab off the back of the tray. And I instinctively reached out to grab it with my right. I felt a click, went back for a scan, and the doctor goes, yeah, you've completely fucked it, but it's okay, right? Please rest the hand. And then yesterday, after Mother's Day, I built my wife a solid oak desk. And yeah, it really, really hurt after lifting the desk. And,
do you know what rest means, Pom?
Mate, I'll rest when I'm dead. So literally, if I was a Carlton player, you would be like, right, that's it, delist him. because it was a 2 week, and now I'm out for the season, and it's a series of calamitous events. It's calamitous events, but that is how I did it. I'm stupid.
We should shout you out, Pom, though. While you've been injured, you did a fantastic one-on-one with Alex Chincotta this week, which was superb viewing.
Yeah, that was before I did.
Okay.
The third time.
We can still delist you there.
So that was, it was actually since yesterday to now. So yeah, I've completely cooked it, and the doctor suspects that I have actually removed the UCL and will require surgery. So he's not happy with me. He's given me a dressing down, told me I'm a complete idiot, and get out of his office. Basically, that was the.
We'll provide a further update after round 16.
No, he just basically told me to get out and never come back. I was actually scared, but we'll get straight into the teams. And before we pick them, you will have some special stats. But we've all had to work hard here because Carlton decided to kill off a player about 20 minutes behind. You know what I mean? Before fucking the show, which, I mean, is good of them because we need content. So we'll start with me because I haven't started this year, someone pointed out. So we'll pick on me first. So I went Cottrell, injured. Chera, injured. Martin, injured. Cowan, he's probably injured, let's be honest. But I've worded it nicely. He's slightly managed. He's managed. I brought in Bin straight away. Brought in Zach Williams against my better judgment. Then I brought back in Orazio for sub because I was like, shit, I need a sub. And I started going through the membership base when I saw who was left. George Hewitt and Ashton Moore makes his debut. Now, two things you're going to pick on me for. One, straight away, you're going to pick on me for Orazio Fantasia, right? Now, what I've tried to do with Orazio Fantasia is I made a bit of a joke in my VFL review and said he's definitely the replacement for Adam Chera because he spent 30 minutes on the ball playing the identical role. So I've wanted to cover myself up just so I can say, I told you. So there he is. Orazio is the sub. And what I did is Jackson Binns plays an identical role to Matt Cottrell. Now, people in chat are going to be like, Pommy's a half forward. Yeah, you're spot on. But if you actually watch that Akers wing, which was last week, is usually Holland's wing. And he actually lives about high halfback in transition. And Matt Cottrell comes up to the wing. So based on that, Binsey will have zero defensive responsibility, only offense. So I think it's the most natural place for him to debut that he'll naturally play like that. So it really is a VFL game for him. Just do what you're doing and Akers will do the rest. I've heavily protected that side. And then you're going to scream at me for this one. I'm playing Ollie Hollands on Golden again because it allows the trap to be set by Chincotta taking out his target and McGovern coming in to intercept. And you're going to ask Ashton Moore. Well, I think it straightens us up. He was, for a want of a better word, hopeless in VFL this week. Every draft knock he had, he decided to display me. He was laconic at times. He looked disinterested. It wasn't quite going his way. But I'm willing to forgive and forget because I think Bright City Lights, Sydney, SCG, backs against the wall, everyone calling them twats. They're going to come back. He's going to come back. He's going to do it. He's going to do it for the boys. So Ashton Moore debuts. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the case. That is the team. Fire away with your questions, my beautiful people.
Homie, I don't want to jump straight into the conspiracy theories, but does anyone else think Orazio played midfield in the VFL just so he could get 20 touches and justify coming in as a small forward for the Blues? Because I said it when he was dropped, There was no clearer, more obvious thing than he would play in the midfield, so his numbers look good. It was always going to happen.
You see, at first I thought that, and then I watched the games again when I did my review, as I always do, and he's basically playing the role that he plays in the AFL, where he's helping out on transition and defensive stoppage. But because he's playing guys, to quote Alex Chincotta's interview, learning the ropes or not quite up to AFL standard, I think it helped him find more ball. But there was a distinct change in the third when Carlton started to have a few concussion injuries and a few players went off for rub downs, because it was a calamity that third quarter. Players looked like they were being shot. He did specifically go centre clearance and play in the midfield. And that's where I started to think, I've seen this movie before, right? I've seen this movie before. Injury on a Friday or a Thursday, we play the next day, and someone randomly plays the injured person's role. And it wouldn't surprise me, because I've got to say this, whether I like Fantasia or not, Voss trusts him, doesn't he? Like, and
He does.
I can't argue with Voss. Do I think he's right? No. Do I hope I'm wrong? Yes. I think part of it may have been, but genuinely, Casey, where he was playing, were pants.
Pom, I got one more for you, which has been asked in the chat. If Pito doesn't play, which is what the apparently Daisy Thomas is reporting, do you have anyone else that can? Do you have any fit players that can come into this team?
Who's out? Sorry, Pitternet.
If Pito's out,
well, I mean, if Pitternet's out, I'm probably going to find a real dark room and just cut my arm off myself. I'm going to be honest, because if I get charged $350 for another MRI, that's probably the only options available to me. In seriousness, probably. Well, I mean, we're at slim pickings, aren't we? I mean, I'm probably a shout to play. I'd say Cowan comes in, Mackay goes Rooks half time, half a game, and we're just going to have to sex up an extra midfield rotation and hope Zach Williams doesn't shit himself 25 minutes into the first, aren't we? I mean, I'm trying to stay positive, but I'll be honest with you, chat.
Very difficult.
It's hard.
I'll be honest with you. I feel a little bit like Ange Postecoglou when I've got some drunken lout going, throw the game! Throw the game!
We can't even do the Hudson O'Keefe in as a temptation to replace Pito because he's out for 47 weeks with a hamstring.
Can I just say, the Hudson O'Keefe injury is the one that kills me the most because it's been reported now by 7 people that he did that trying to take a specky on the specky bag.
Apparently, has the whistle to end the drill went as well, which is one of the worst timings of it.
If you're 7 foot tall, you don't need to practice the specky. Just stand up.
But I'm not going to knock him because I'm the idiot here, $2,000 on scans and doctor's appointments, about to have a surgery. So, I mean, who's the real idiot? Hudson, I feel you, mate. Have you got any questions for me, Ian?
Oh, it's hard to have too many questions at the moment because it's almost a case of just who actually is fit and just throw them in and hope it all kind of works out for the best. I guess probably the only other fit player I think I can see that you haven't selected is a Jack Carroll. Why is he someone that didn't maybe get a look in is probably my question that I can throw at you.
Honestly, in watching the VFL, it was good to see him back playing a role. And I feel like he's showcasing what he lacks in AFL level. So I am dubious because at the moment, and I'm touching the wood hard here, right? Touching the wood hard. We haven't had mass injuries in the midfield.
Oh, no.
Oh, don't say that, Polly.
I touched the wood, right? I touched the wood. Right, so my fear is if you play him in VFL, right, and you start bringing him back to AFL and VFL, he's never going to learn. He's never going to learn because it's just going to disjoint him. He goes into the midfield, has 10 touches, fucks off, and then pisses off back to VFL where he never really gets any continuity. I think he's a very important cog. He has to learn his trade. So for me at the moment, yeah, let's not risk him in this game. I feel like our midfield is the least of our worries. And the way Hewitt came on, I'm not bothered about that. So, Carroll, go and learn your ropes. Go and learn the ropes properly. That was the reason. Same with Marchbank. I think if anyone watched the VFL last, and I can't remember your team, so if I offend any of you, I'm sorry. But if you watched the VFL last week and then watched Kemp the week before, you can't make a case for Marchbank to come in because Kemp was 10 times better against more duress, and his ball use in the fourth was fantastic for Carlton. Marchbank was a walking inside 50 repeater when he was kicking out in the fourth when they were under pressure, and Sydney are the best side in the league at repeat inside 50s. So that is going to happen from ball one. So the two guys who probably are in this team, I've put a lot of thought into it, chat. I've put into a lot of thought. Don't worry. Uncle Pom's here. Paolo, give me something positive.
Mate, I got nothing for you.
Do we have more players available than Richmond this week to choose from?
If you count members, yeah.
I got zilch for you. I'm not even going to attempt to come up with something.
Jordan makes a good one here. I'll ask the panel and chat. You ask, right? Let's just say Pitto's injured. Do you reckon would Carlton press the button and move Kent, who was trialled there, McGovern forward, which he used to do, and Marchi comes in to take that position? Or option two, do you reckon Lemmy might be a shot now he's back up forward?
I don't really think so, personally. It's a nice shout, but I think we've seen for pretty much the whole of this season, we haven't had Jack Martin out there each and every week, and we haven't looked to bring in another tall, really. And I know if Pitto goes down, you then don't have TDK in the forward line. But again, we've dealt with that for games this season. It looks like we'd probably go small and maybe just try to run them off the park. It's a small ground, the SCG, so maybe you don't necessarily even need the height in your forward line. You need that when the ball hits the deck. So I think I'd be going towards a smaller forward line rather than beefing it up with height at this stage.
SCG is my favourite ground.
If you look at your team, Pom, it's actually still a pretty good team.
Mate, it's fantastic.
It's actually still a good team. It's just looking through the names.
mate, the team and the semi, it's just, do you know what I mean? We are at bare bones, let's be honest.
Yeah. It's a very good team. Just one of them probably won't play, and one of them will get injured in the first quarter. So you got to take two names off it. That's the only issue with the team.
I'm confident, though, because the SCG is my favourite ground, because I used to go on about getting proper wingers, and everyone used to tell me, oh, you don't need wingers at the SCG, and we always used to get battered. So it's going to be great. I'm excited. I mean, look, bats to our wall. I mean, I've seen worse. I've seen Mickey Gibbons play full forward. So, I mean, I'm not going to see that this year. That's all right.
Still a good team.
I'm good. Chat, I'm good. Like, high on painkillers, I'm good. Right, so that's my team. Remember that team. Leg Dog, cheer me up.
Yeah, I mean, I'll try. I had to make several changes to this because more and more news came out about our club this week. But Cottrell out. Obviously, we got Hollins and Akers. I bring in Binns to play the Cottrell forward wing rotation role if he needs to. Probably more forward than wing. I think his form in the reserves has been really good and obviously capped by an awesome game last week. Cherry goes out, so Hewitt gets elevated permanently into the starting team for him. So I think that makes sense. Martin goes out, which hurts. So I put Kennedy into the forward line and then brought in Williams because, you know, he's a fit human who's available to play football. And then Jackie Carroll gets the sub role. And again, like I always say with my sort of bench and sub, if he came into the team, I don't mind. It's a tough one because he's now in that Paddy Dow situation where do you play him as sub or do you give him a full game in the reserves? He had a really good one on the weekend, but, you know, where's the benefit for his growth? Is it in half a game for the seniors or a full game for the reserves? So if he was a Ratio or someone else, I don't mind. But my biggest concern would be more around if Pito comes out of this team, and then you probably need to bring in a Fantasia or someone or a Moya to fill that role. But yeah, I'm gonna say Pito's playing. I think I've got one too many defenders in the rotation, keeping Cowan in and bringing Williams in. But to be honest, I trust both of them more than I trust Carroll or Fantasia, probably the next two. So it is a little bit about who's available for me. In answer to the question, I was thinking about this on the plane up to Brisbane. I don't see us ever really pushing McGovern forward again unless it's like a desperation finals game move. Kemp moving forward, potentially I could also see them trying Boyd forward for a game. Like, there's a little bit of flex. It doesn't solve the tall problem, but we do have some versatile players. And I did just read that Andrew Phillips is nominating for the mid-season draft, so maybe we can bring him in to replace Pito this week. I'm not sure what the rules allow, but bring him in. That'd be solid.
Did you someone in chat asking about Murkoff? If Paolo promises to go down to the SCG and commentate, I will do because he turned into like fucking prime Sean Grigg, didn't he, with that kick when you commentated on him?
I couldn't believe it. I've never seen a bloke over 200 centimeters hit a pass like that, and since then he almost died.
If you get a chance, after you watch the Navy Blue Corner after this show, go and watch Paolo do it, because I have never heard anyone so surprised. It's the commentary is like, Murkoff out of the stoppage. He's kicked it. Oh!
You know what's funny? Actually, when I was up in the stands for that call, to my right, about 4 or 5 meters away, Michael Voss was there with the assistant coaches, and their reaction, they all looked at me as well, right? And they've all looked at each other and all started like, how's he done that? Like, what's he done there? Like, jeez.
If Murkoff flies to Sydney, then the Australian volleyball team must be having a game up there this weekend. That's all I'll say.
Oh, no.
I've got a question for you. Did you, when you were doing this team, right, obviously, they're very unique, Sydney, in how they play, particularly deep entries. They target the fullback, which usually on paper sounds like you're going to kill him. But they're quite an awkward size. If you look outside of Papley, they're all that awkward size. Did you think about keeping Cowan in and not having Z-Will?
Yeah, I had a couple versions of the team. I sent a couple to you, Pom. I did drop Cowan. I know they're an awkward size, but to be honest, I don't love that having that 8 defender mix. I don't mind if it's Z-Will or Cowan. I'm kind of hoping our defense does its job before they get inside 50. I think Chincotta can play taller this week if we need to. I know he'll probably go a lockdown role, but we do have options in that space. I do think Newman has been able to do it in the past. I do think, in theory, Boyd could do it. I know he will probably play small Chincotta, but he, for me, could be the tall. In the end, I've landed on having both Cowan and Williams in there. And honestly, I'm not really confident, which is crazy. I'm not as confident about Zach Williams as I am about Lockie Cowan. I just think that if Zach Williams is available, it's the Orazio Fantasia thing. I think he plays. I don't think there's any value to playing him in the reserves. What role? I don't. I actually don't. What do you guys think? Let's talk about Z-Will for a minute, because I love him in theory. What's his actual role? What is his actual role in this team when everyone's forget if everyone's back? What's his role this weekend?
Well, I don't want to see him shooting deep against, like, if Heaney gets taken to the square or Papley gets taken to the square and Chincotta's off the ground. I don't want to see Zach Williams. If I see one out at fullback ever again, I'll go he, honestly. Honestly, player like that shouldn't be playing in that position.
No.
It's got to be half back, doesn't it? Release and run. But I just, I don't know. We seem to have a lot of those plays, don't we?
I did watch that game, and it was quite interesting because I watched the last game Z-Will played, and I did think he probably wants Cincotta there, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Because you watch McGovern, Kemp, and Whittaker in as a trio, that they have such a good understanding of who flies, who doesn't. And Young's this is no knock on Young, but he's so limited. There was a few times that Williams got found out and it was Young who picked up the wrong man or got lost. And Williams had to kind of go to the bigger guy because if he didn't and just pointed, he'd look like an idiot. So I think it's an interesting one that I think Z will. How do I say this without sounding like I'm knocking him? Because I'm not. But I feel like Z Will is good in a good team. I think if you're a shit team, I think Z Will would be the worst candidate to have in your backline.
Yeah.
Cherry on top player. He's kind of like how we treat Jack Martin. Cherry on top player. It's nice if he's there and if you're up and running. But I'm with you. If you, as Paolo said, if you're relying on him to defend, you're so absolutely kidding yourself.
Would you say
play that attacking role?
Yeah. Would you say Cincotta is the guy to alleviate his? I don't want to say defensive frailties, but maybe his defensive weaknesses, and I'm talking about Zach Williams, is Alex Cincotta the man to make up for that? And Pommy, the thing we talk about when it comes to, Gary Neville and David Beckham. Gary Neville did David Beckham's defending and allowed David Beckham to do what he had to do. Is it a similar scenario to that?
I think so, probably. I mean, I think...
Yeah.
I just think Cincotta takes a lot of... I'm really excited about seeing Sard. Because Nick Newman's playing that Sard role now.
Yeah.
I get a bit turned on thinking some of the easy ball Newman got, that's Sard, that's deadly. Because knock on Nick Newman, but he isn't Sard.
Yeah.
But he isn't Sard, is he? So I like your team, Leck. Any questions for him, Ian?
Oh, probably the only other one I'd say is something that I was thinking about. I know we just spoke a bit about the back line, but it's probably, again, looking at Sydney. They like to play with those three talls, Amati, McDonald, McLean, and I guess Hayward. I know he's not necessarily a tall, but is another marking target that I think we've all got a bit of interest in at the moment. Did you think about throwing Marchbank in maybe for a guy like Cowan rather than Kemp, just to bolster the height that we have down back, and maybe a Kemp goes to someone like Hayward and the three taller boys take their sonic kind of key forwards? Was that something that you thought about at all, or do you think that the guys that you've currently listed can do that job?
I don't mean to take the piss here, Ian. At no point do I ever consider Marchbank in my team selection process. And that's a personal preference, and maybe I've gone too much one way, but I think between Wiedering, Cincotta, Cowan, and then you've got Kemp and McGovern as the interceptors, we should be able to... I know they're a little bit... They're not even that much smaller than Marchbank, to be honest. I'd prefer the upside of those guys, and I think for the most part, they can match his output, particularly with how he has played recently and how his body's tracking. So without being facetious, no, I didn't consider Caleb Marchbank.
No, fair enough.
Mate, look at him. Like dog with his prejudices. and here we are. The navy blue corners, Ian. Talk to me.
Yeah, so it's just a case of who's fit and who can I actually bring into this team pretty much at this stage. I feel like a lot of them are really easy. Hewitt in for Chera, midfielder for a midfielder. Binns has come in for Cottrell because I think he's the closest we kind of have to that high half forward wing rotation. It would have been Cunningham, but he has done his calf like he always seems to do at this stage. I agree with what you guys said. I think I want him playing a bit more forward, and I like that he's a bit more of that creative type, so it just adds to that versatility. Jack Martin goes out with the injury, and I've brought in Jack Carroll to kind of replace him. Bit of a weird one in that essence that they're nowhere near the same player or going to play the same role, but I think adding a guy like Carroll, I've tried to fix it in the weirdest way, but adding someone that can go into the midfield and go with those rotations, or half forward to allow someone like Elijah Hollands more midfield time, presents maybe a bit of an opportunity for guys like Kennedy or Cripps to roll forward at stages if we find we are lacking that extra target down there. So I've just tried to beef up really that versatility in those areas so we can get creative at stages, because you'll notice the other one is Pitternet. I just don't think he's going to get up. If they believe he is, then he's going to be in my team, but I just don't see it with the short turnaround after the surgery. And yeah, Zach Williams comes in to just provide a little bit more run. I think maybe it's too many defenders, like you guys have mentioned, but it's another way of trying to solve this puzzle with a few other players out, in that if we can get more better run and better transition from D50, is that just going to allow us more space ahead of the ball and better entries inside 50? So we don't have to worry that we don't have De Koning down there. We don't have Jack Martin. We're just going to be delivering the ball better in space. And that's kind of where I've tried to attack it. The last ones, like we kind of just spoke about with Lekdog, I've gone Marchie in for Cowan, just because I am slightly wary of the height. I don't think Marchbank did enough necessarily to get reselected in after his VFL performance. I think Cowan's been really good, but just that little bit taller at this stage. And I think Kemp could be a decent matchup for Hayward as well. I'm not sure we have anyone else. Like, I don't know, is Newman that guy that could play lockdown on him? I'm not sure. So a little bit wary of what Sydney are going to do in that essence. And then the last one is Orazio as the sub, because there's literally no one else. And if we're struggling in the forward line with me bringing in so many half-forward midfielders, at least it's someone that has experience in the forward line and knows that craft. So, yeah, that is the team. Feel free to throw your questions at me.
Paolo, we'll start with you.
I mean, the problem is now is that we're at a point now where we can't really. How can you debate these things when we're down to bare bones? There's no one else to pick. It's more just where you're going to position these particular players. So the Bins one is interesting, but I mean the problem is there's just no one else to bring in. I don't know. I actually don't know. There's maybe. Do they maybe go for? Could they go with something like Chincotta playing more on ball? Could that potentially be a rotation this week? And then Williams can maybe rotate at halfback there. I don't know. I actually don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad shout. We've kind of spoken about it for the last month or so. In Chincotta could be that guy that comes in and plays a multitude of roles. It's just one of those things, I guess, where he's played so well, is that clear lockdown on the smalls, playing better than anyone we've kind of had in the last few years at that. I just don't want to take him off, I guess, the matchup of kind of like Papley this week, even though I would still trust a Newman or maybe even a Boyd to potentially get that job done. I mean, you can trial it at stages, and this is kind of maybe that time where, as bad as it is, if you want to try and find the positive, this is Voss and Co.'s opportunity to see how they go in trying different things and being able to cover for these injuries. And maybe we will unearth something like this where we throw Chincotta high half forward or on the wing or in the midfield and we go, this is unbelievable. We've figured out another piece to the puzzle. But yeah, it's just tough. It's tough to try and find the right players right now.
What about Walsh high half forward? Is that something that people considered? Did you consider that?
I thought about it for a little bit, and I think it's another one that can go there as well. I'll be interested to see if they do throw Elijah Hollins into the midfield a little bit more. I know last week he did get a little bit more of those minutes, and as I sort of suggested, whether that allows Kennedy to go forward, even though I thought he was one of the better midfielders last week, or a Cripps. Yeah, it can definitely happen, but I think right now, because there's so many other issues elsewhere, I'm not sure it's too smart to tinker with the midfield that is working amazingly. If you start to do that, then just the midfield drop and everything else falls away. Where are you guys looking at it all? Yeah.
You know what and we mentioned it before, lads, is again, like, I know we're down to bare bones, but if you actually go through the team itself, there are a lot of rotations that can occur on the ground at the moment. So what I mean is, So Walsh can potentially go high half forward. We've seen Elijah play on the ball. We know Kennedy can go up forward. Binns can play a half forward role. We can see maybe Ollie for a stint or two. I know. Remember last year when he accidentally played he had a centre bounce attendance and he won the clearance. I can't remember what game it was. Might have been against Melbourne or maybe been against Collingwood late last year where he went into a centre bounce and actually looked quite good.
Wasn't it the Doggies?
Was it the Doggies?
Where Voss was asked about it and famously said, "Oh, he got lost."
He actually looked okay in there.
I agree with you. I just never forget that though. Voss, it looked really good, and Voss like, "Oh yeah, we couldn't get the message to him, so he had to do it because the umpire was going to give us a penalty."
So I think the beauty about it is that even though it's the injuries and the omissions are horrific, just numbers wise, if you actually look at the team in isolation that we're probably going to field this week, so the injuries and the players coming in are almost like for like, and we do have blokes on the field that can swap and change in particular roles. So I don't know, maybe it's not as bad as we think. I don't know, maybe I'm going crazy. Maybe my hat's on too tight.
No, look, Pal, I think you're right. And I think that's probably a testament to and we've spoken about this a couple of times, to the development of the list and the depth of the list. If we had these injuries 3 years ago, we're fucked when the season's over. The fact is, you're right. We still have a very good-looking team on the park. I think the concern comes from we've had all these injuries. Yes, the team still looks good. What if? But you're right. If you just take the team that we're presenting, it is a good team. My question for you, Ian, and everyone before we move on to your team, Paolo, is about the back line. And for several years, particularly under Teague, we spoke about we're playing our best players, but not necessarily the best players for each role. And so if we look at our back line, we probably think Wiedering, McGovern, Newman, one of Kemp or Marchbank are locked in as the 4. Chincotta's forcing his way in as the 5th. Boyd seems to be locking his way in. And then you've got Zach Williams as well. Do one of them just have to not be in the team, right? Let's imagine that the rest of the team's fine. Because pushing Zewell up into a midfield rotation, or we're talking about Chincotta maybe playing more on the ball, or it feels like we've almost got Ansard coming back in. We've got maybe one too many. And is there a point where one of them comes out of the team, or do we just have to find a way to have them impact elsewhere?
No, I think one will come out.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I probably wouldn't have had Zach Williams coming back in this week, honestly, because it's probably been one of the better functioning lines we've had consistently. And particularly as soon as Gov came back in, you saw what difference that made structurally to us and how we were moving the ball. Everyone there's playing well, so it's stiff on my part, I guess, to move a Cowan out because I thought he was still playing some decent football as well. But yeah, right now, balance-wise, I would be wanting another forward or another midfielder in rather than Zach Williams because right now he hasn't shown enough. And that's not to say he won't come back in and get back to his best, but on form, I probably have a few above him right now. Where do you kind of see Williams in the pecking order?
I mean, I think the interesting one is Chincotta because he has a clear role. He does it better than anyone else, which then makes you think it's probably one of Boyd or Zewell that has to come out at some point. And Zewell's probably just he's probably too highly paid and we gave up too much to have him playing reserves. And then it's like, is it someone like Boyd who comes out of the team who I don't think is deserving to come out? I think we don't have to tackle it this week, but it's similar to the Jack Carroll conversation early in the year where at some point someone's going to have to come out of the team. And I just think we need to start thinking about that, even with all the injuries we have, because I feel like we're over-indexing in defensive players and maybe at the sacrifice of roles further up the ground.
You know what? One of the questions I've got, right, is I think Carlton are probably the most attractive teams in the MSD because I think we can all don't want to be negative. You know me, I'm a positive guy, but I do think right now, if you're Nick Austin, you're looking at Jack Martin and going, probably the experiment's over. Cunningham, the experiment's over.
Yeah.
Now it's time to get serious. If I was a mid-season draftee, I actually think this is a really exciting time because I look at the people with picks ahead of us and I'm like, they're going to get some real tasty picks in the next couple of years. So if I'm 23, 24, I'm probably not there for a long time, right? I think at Carlton, if I'm a young player or an older player, I'm thinking, you know what? I could get 6 months at this club and suddenly blow the door down. So two players I'm going to throw out to you. Oscar Smart, he's been heavily talked about. There is some interest from the top clubs, but the former Bendigo Pioneers boy, good links with the Blues. 180, 85 kegs, incredible forward craft, plays taller than he is, and he's an incredible marker one-on-one as well for someone 188. And there is another guy as well. You may remember from my draft profiles, but he's going along really nicely. But that is Frank Zekeli from North Adelaide, who is, again, another 180, medium-sized, slightly smaller frame. But these two guys here, do you think that might be, we might see the next Jordan Boyd in this draft? I reckon Carlton are going to go very heavy with mid-forwards in this draft. And do you think this could be actually a blessing in disguise that we might find the secret ingredient in the MSD?
Maybe. What about Ned Carl? Have you considered him? I like what he offers as a forward.
I liked him in his draft year for Essendon.
Yeah.
I like him. I'd be more inclined for Ramshaw if I was going for anyone from there. Yep. I just feel big. I feel Ned is. We've got a lot of small forwards that are kind of met. So Motlop's going to be interesting to me because if he gets right, I think it's his job to lose. But I feel like going for an impact player. Oscar Smart is someone I'm really hot on. I still think I think he's got incredible potential, and he reminds me a lot of how Martin moves. The fact he likes to get invested in the midfield, so that kind of excites me because I feel like that's what we're probably missing, and we're trying to manufacture that.
It's tough. I hope that we maybe this isn't the right thing with our injuries at the moment, but look more towards someone that we think can be on our list for 3+ years rather than just a role player to come in for the rest of the year. And maybe that can work because we've got a couple of selections where you take a punt on one guy for the future and another one to come in right now. But it's so tough to throw someone in that maybe hasn't had that experience and expect a lot from them. I'm not going to sit here right now and say I know all these players incredibly well to know who should come in, but fingers crossed we unearth another gem. If anyone can do it, it's surely Austin. Yeah, I don't want to stay on this for too long because I know Paolo's got to get through his team. But
go ahead, mate.
Based on what Chincotta said in that interview with you, Pom, the step up from VFL to AFL is pretty mammoth. So I think if you want an impact player, you almost got to find someone who's been on an AFL list and played AFL games. Just to get them up to speed quick enough. Otherwise, I think no matter, it doesn't, even if they're a mature age, I think there's still going to be a bit of a project there to get them to the level, particularly the level we're playing at. It was fine when we were getting Mickey Gibbons in or, whoever else we took back then. And they were playing
Gibbons!
Winning 2 games a year. I think, you almost need to find, someone suggested there, a Lockie Young, right? He knows what the standard is or someone like that. It doesn't solve this problem, but I think we just got to temper our expectations with mid-season impact straight away because very rarely do they come in and impact straight away.
It's funny you say that because there is a player that is in this draft that has trained, and I don't want to give away my video because there's 10 names that I've thrown out there, but in my opinion, if you held a gun to my head, who would be the best player in the MSD this year? Will McLaughlin from Geelong Falcons. He has played with the Geelong. He's been training with the seniors. Now, they don't have a pick, right? They don't have a pick, but this guy would be as close, 186, and he's a bulk. I actually feel like it's, even though it's a step up, if you listen to what Chincotta said, it's very easy to learn the patterns. And I think the players we're looking for don't are probably the easiest impact positions in the AFL. I don't think we're looking for an inside midfielder or a key position player. We're looking for someone that's working in a very tasty forward line. So I think that's why I asked the question. I think if I was a kid, I'd want to fall to Coulton's pick because I think it's the easiest job available, but I also think it's the one that's got the longest term survival rate. If I nail it, I've just saved Nick Austin breaking up a first rounder. But I mean, could be wrong. But here's Paulo's team. Paulo, Jesus Christ, we're on a winning streak of one. We're top 8. We're finals bound, and look at the outs, chat.
Crazy.
The club has made us axe players.
Crazy. So Chera out, Hewitt in, Cottrell out, Orazio in, Cowan out, Marchbank in, Durden sub, Carroll in, Martin dead, Moya risen. Very, very simple. I wanted to go as like for like as possible. I didn't want to get too tricky with it, right? So I know Hewitt and Cher are completely different midfielders, but I mean, we're just down at bare bones with that. And you did say, and I noticed, Orazio actually looked really good on the ball against Casey on Friday night. I was actually pretty impressed with what he dished up for that little period he was on the ball. So there's potential for him to be rotated through there alongside Hewitt as well. But I've brought him in for Cottrell across half forward. Marchbank for Cowan just because I think Sydney's talls. I just feel I have to trust Marchbank. Jesus, famous last word there. Good Lord. He is one of my favourite defenders talent-wise, and I think there is an overwhelming opinion within the match committee that he's the man that they are going to select if they're all fit. He's probably one of the first 4 or 5 picked, I would suggest. And I think that's what was going to happen earlier in the year. But I just feel with him coming in and Amati, McLean and McDonald up there, one of Kemp, Wiedering and McGovern can get a bit loose, if that makes sense. And I know even if one of those wasn't to play, Marchbank wasn't to play, even if it was just those 3, Wiedering, Kemp, McGovern, that they'd be able to figure out. But I think just alleviates a bit of pressure for the 3 guys who have to match up on those players and allows one of them to get loose. And then Carroll in as well. I thought he was okay in the reserves because he actually kicked the goal on his right foot. So something must be going right with him. If a left foot is kicking a goal on their right foot, there must be something in the water at Icon Park, I reckon. And Moya's just, I say like for like with Martin, but he's good overhead. And I think he's one of those players that can land sort of 55 to 70 metres out as a hit up. And I do like him on both sides of his body. So, look, he was, and you did say, Pommy, his attitude, at times he can drop the lip, which is, a little bit of a concern. But like I said, it's probably not a game where you wanted to pick him based on form. But if you're going to go like for like, he's probably the one that could play that Martin role, just that they're similar build. Moy's not too bad overhead. He can play either side of the body as well. So that's how I went with it. I wasn't trying to be too tricky with it all.
I love it. I mean, Moore is Martin, isn't he? He's the
he is. Yeah.
It's a shame this hadn't happened in the other 7 rounds, to be fair, because but it has happened before. Has to be said. We have picked players from the VFL with their worst games, and they've gone bang. So, I mean, I don't want to feed the Carlton narrative, but you never know if someone's been told to go easy because you may get a gig next week. Yeah.
Well, there's also, and I think, and this is true as well, and you and I were actually having this discussion about Harry Mackay, Pommy, that his VFL form, you look at him and think, geez, is this guy ever going to develop? You could see what he was about, but the players that you're playing with at VFL level aren't going to give you that delivery. They're not going to create those running patterns and space to be able to allow you to play at your absolute best because the quality is lower. Whereas when you get into this league, I know the step up with regards to speed is so much different, but the quality of ball use is far better and the cohesion is far better than what you'll get with all due respect to that Carlton team, it's a makeshift VFL, so a lot of those blokes never played together before. So a lot of local footballers, a lot of guys who are playing at Carlton VFL for the first time. So I think that may also come into play if he is to debut. And look, I don't know, maybe he'll embrace, like you said, Pommy, the Friday night lights in Sydney. He seems to be one of those players, I reckon. I reckon he's a flashy, wants the name in the headlights type of player, which I don't think we have enough of. We've got Charlie there, but I reckon he could be the one. I don't think he'll play personally, just based on the output we saw last week, but I'd love to see him. I'd love to see him.
I think you nailed it. Like, that's the interesting thing, I think, with Moya. And it was great to hear it from, like, Chin Cotter from your interview, Pommy, where he said sometimes, like, going back to the VFL, it can weirdly be harder than AFL in ways just simply because of the way the ball doesn't end up where it should and where you expect it because of the quality. And that's really hard for, I think, those front half players and those small pushing higher up the ground forwards, because you can get lost. And so it would be interesting to see how he does gel when there's better entry inside 50, there's better spacing. He's able to pick off from guys like Harry and Charlie. We're kind of at that stage where it's not the worst time to throw him out there because the expectation on him isn't going to be big at this stage because we've got so many injuries. And I quite like it.
I do think, and people may call me absolutely stark raving mad, but I do think Orazio's still got something to offer. I don't know. I just feel he's got something to offer. I saw it when he went back to the VFL on the weekend. He was engaged. He was active. He was leading the line, and it takes. I mean, it's their job, right? To quote Roy Keane, it's your job, right? But to go back and swallow your pride and not go down there and be egotistical about it and actually put in a performance, I think speaks volumes of the man. So I'm happy for him to come back in. I still think there's something there for him.
Yeah, I think with the amount of games he's played and game time, clearly he's doing something right. So, happy to look at the positive of that one as well.
Well, this would be the type of game, wouldn't it? I mean, Raz comes in, kicks 7. He's set up for him. But
we've said that 10 times so far this year, but yes, agree.
Oh, if we keep saying it, we're bound to be right, eh? Are they? Bound to be right. Like, law of averages, my friend. Knock on enough doors, one fucking opens and you can rob the house.
Correct. Just hope that there's something in the house.
And if not, you just keep knocking and find a new door. But we're going to get onto the team selection. So here we are, a little bit of an algorithm for you, just to jog your memory from last week's. These are the players' output versus what was expected pre-game with the matchups in-game. So as you can see, Ollie Holland's leading the way because Voss decided to play him in a position he's never played before. So he floated as we go down some names at risk. And one of the names, 3 weeks in a row in the red, Corey, Mr. Durden, who is probably putting the things that Paolo said is in the water.
Here he is.
Because it's keeping
He's
his
going
job.
to get a game ahead of Corey, ahead of Durden. Gunnosaurus. He's going to line him up for the forward flank.
Just when you think he might be dropped, someone else gets injured. So maybe Corey Durden's found the cheat code of staying in the team. But as you can see, most players playing around their average. You've got about a 10. So Jordan Boyd here to probably about here. That's what we consider AFL average. There is some differentials, particularly with Boyd and his role, that helped him not score so well. But then we go on to what are Sydney good at? A bit more red this week. As you can see, scores from turnover in the last 5. We know Sydney are an incredible turnover side. Defensive half, again, Carlton in the red, because we know Carlton are Lepdog. What are they?
Turnover in the front.
Yeah, there we are. Hey, Lepdogs learn. And scores from stoppage, as you know, Carlton would have a dominance. And based on, and remember, this is against the matchups they had last week. It's not projected. This is who we would expect to play well. Heaney, Grundy, Blakey, Goulden, Papley, and then row bottom, Hayward, Jordan, Floron, and Cunningham.
Just a couple of no-names there.
Yeah, but it always happens. So what I've done this week is Pom has put his neck on the line. So Sydney, I suspect, will bring in one name, and that is Luke Parker. Phenomenal State League form. And Sam Wicks is shit. There you are.
And they love him. And they love him too over there, the Sydney Swans.
Crazy.
He's had 2 horrific games there. So I think Luke Parker comes in as the extra body and does it. So that is the team chat. We're going to do it the old way. We all save 1. Chat, you will save 2 this week. So Let Dog, I'll start with you. We'll start with the back line. Can you see your names here?
Yeah. I'm going to be cowardly and just take Pom Cotter.
And who are you playing him? Are you going to play him on Papley?
Yeah, we may as well.
Well,
Has Papley done it? At risk of looking like an idiot, has Papley done anything this year?
Oh, no.
Don't know, actually. That's a good question.
If Papley kicks 5, Let Dog.
Yeah.
We know
who to play. We know who to blame.
Ian, who are you saving?
Great question. Give me. Let's go bold. Let's bring in Marchbank.
Yep.
Who's his matchup? Do you want him against Hayward? Bit of intercept.
Let's go for that for now.
All right, Paolo.
Can we bring in Ben White on Amadi?
Can do if you want. Might be a bit of a mismatch, but the shithouse will be great to see.
Wadering at fullback. Plonk him there.
Okay. Right.
Actually, no. Put him at centre half back because I think he'll play on McDonald. I think that's a likely matchup. Sorry. Yep.
Okay. Well,
yep.
I'm going to go to their target. I'm going to put McGovern against Amati. Look at that. We got the interceptors there. Marchbank and McGovern just waiting to pound. So chat, we need 2 halfback flankers. Throw in your names. I'll be a little bit slower because I am doing this all left-handed chat. But your names, if you want to be bold, Akers, Binns, Boyd, Carroll, Cowan, Cripps, Kerno, Durden, Elijah, Fantasia, Hewitt, Hollands, Kennedy, McKay, Moore, Newman, Owies, Pitternet, TDK, Walsh, and hiding away there, Zach Williams. So we've got Williams, we've got Kent, we've got Boyd and Kent, Boyd and Newman, Kent, Boyd, Newman, Boyd, Kent, Newman. It looks like Boyd is 100%.
Yes.
And it looks like Newman might have slapped in.
It's hard, but I think it's Newman.
Okay, so we're going to put Boyd on Jordan, Newman on Adams.
Yep.
Should we do that? Because I think that's a nice matchup. Okay, hey, look at this. This looks sexy. All right, midfielders
and wanted Kemp in with the other 3 tools. I like it.
Okay, midfielders and followers. Let Dog.
Just give me Hollands. Put Hollands on a wing for me.
Are you playing him against Jake Lloyd or Gould?
Let's start him on Goulden and see what happens.
Mate, best way to learn. Mr. Ian?
Give me Mr. Kennedy on Isaac Heaney. Completely shut down Petrarca, made him go forward. He's going to do the same thing, but hopefully Heaney doesn't do anything down forward.
I really don't think Heaney's the one we want forward.
I don't mind it. Mr. Paolo.
We'll save. We've got Cripps straight in the guts. That's probably who we're going to go with.
On Chad, my head smashes walls. Warner.
Yep. He wears the TNs too, mate.
Mate, he's a big lad. I won't want to get in a scrap with him. I'm trying to think here. Should I get creative? See, I think James Rowbottom is their weak link. He's a very good player as well. So when I say weak link, I'll be like fucking good weak link. We'll go Walsh on. We'll go Walsh on Rowbottom. See if Walsh can do it. Okay, chat. We need a ruckman and we need a winger. So the matchups are Grundy and Lloyd. You've got Akers, Binns, Carroll, Cowan, Kerno, Durden, Elijah, Fantasia, Hewitt, Kemp, Mackay, Moyer, Owies, Pitternet, TDK, and Zach Williams.
Grundy loves playing at the SCG.
Oh, look, Pitto getting the love straight off the bat, but Akers never gets forgotten about. You know what? Akers gets forgotten about by a lot of people, but this chat appreciates him. So, Leg Dog, our years of conditioning the chat into liking wingers.
We got them on board with some shit ones, then we got some good ones, and they think they're in heaven.
Oh dear, you know what? I'm dreading looking at Facebook just because there's going to be loads of people saying Piternet's made it, saying fucking we shouldn't have got rid of Satterfield. You know what? I forgot to say earlier when you mentioned Andrew Phillips. No word of a lie. The person's going to remain nameless because it actually annoyed me so much that I was debating punching the wall behind me, which I can't do at the moment. But they said, "Oh, fucking Hudson O'Keefe, no, rook back up. Someone needs to get on the phone to Flip." And I was like, "Oh no." And then you've said that, like, dog. If I see that, you're
Bring
getting
him
blamed as well. Andrew Phillips, bring him back. Mr. Leckdog, forwards. I'm going to spell. That is how Cunningham spelled, isn't it, Harry?
Yeah. I think he's a double N. Yeah.
He's the proper spelling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, have I got a bit excited and spelled it right?
God, I really want to put Binns in this team, but I don't want to put him on field. I'll take the other Hollands as well.
Where do you want Elijah? Do you want him on?
That's a great question. Just chuck him on Cunningham for now. I don't think he's going to be the guy that breaks out and kicks 4 goals on the week on Friday night.
No, Connors.
Hollands.
Elijah, he needs to.
I want him to.
Mr. Ian.
Yeah, I'll go the in-form small forward. Give me Matty Owies.
Who do you want him on?
That is tough because those sort of matchups aren't amazing. Yeah, make Malikan go on him.
Yeah, stretch him.
Have fun.
You know what's really funny?
They might have to send Florent to Owies, and that'd probably be good for us.
Yeah, you know what's funny is when I was looking at Sydney doing my research for the review that gets released tomorrow, I did realise, I was like, God, your backline shit. But it just proves that the names aren't brilliant, but the output is sent. Like, that backline, like, apart from Blakey, is Bobbins, let's be honest, name-wise. But it's effective.
We just got to get the ball into them.
It's effective. And Paolo, who are we going to beat this Bobbins backline with?
Well, Charlie's going to go on Aaron Francis, and to quote the great Liam Neeson, good luck.
It's going to be an interesting one, that. We've got to stop Blakey. You know what, right? Chat, bear with me. This is purely matchup based, right? But the one thing Carlton tried last week that I really enjoyed, and the only reason I want Durden still in the team, is when they moved Durden onto Lever, and Lever was ineffective because they kicked low to him. And that's one stat Blakey doesn't rank brilliant in, is ground balls. If Carlton can do that, that takes away the problem. So, chat, you've got a matchup for Rampy and a matchup for Florent.
Go.
So 2 forwards. You've got Binns, Carroll, Cowan, Fantasia, Uwit, Kemp, Mackay, Moyer, TDK, and Williams. Says you like Bobby.
Should be able to get them in the air, shouldn't we? If we, I mean, yeah.
Don't kick it near Blakey like last year.
Yeah, exactly.
And just don't let him run. Someone please just stand in front of him, please. I can't deal with that again.
This is tough, Tom. This is really split right now.
Gee, Moyer is getting some votes.
Mackay's in. It's the second position that we're...
I think at the moment it is Binns.
Moyer's getting a run.
But he's getting... Oh, wait. Moyer from the clouds.
Yeah, there's a lot of people saying Binns and Moyer, though. Come on, give us something for chat. Not Lucky Jack, you're chaos.
Isn't being married to me good?
Zachy Borg has gone Binns.
Another Binns.
TDK
is an option.
Binns,
I think
Moyer.
Tell you what, next one that's Binns or Moyer gets it, because I think it's tied.
Here we go.
3 seconds.
Moyer.
Moyer. Hey,
we got a debutant, boys.
I'm a man of my word, chat. I'm a man of my word. I bet if I look up now, there's like about 1,000. Oh no, well done, chat. I was gonna say if I look up now, there's 100 bins in chat. You can all piss off. Right? Okay. 5-man bench, chat. Start with you, and they're the names: Roberts, McInerney, McLean, Parker, and I don't know why I did that noise for a fox. They don't make that noise.
Can you scroll up to the available players for me, please?
Mate, I can do whatever you want. Apart from
God, I want that toy where you press the button for the barnyard animals and there's a sound. I want Pommy to record that for me. That's incredible.
What noise does a fox make? I've surely makes.
What does the fox say?
Oh no, dog.
Yes.
I'm putting Jackson Binns on the bench.
Hey! 2 debutants. Oh, stop pressing Control Z. Okay, yeah, sorry. I was having a nervous breakdown. Ian.
I will save Brody Kemp.
Good save.
Fucking hell. Tell you what, I haven't seen a side this tall since fucking Bolton was picking it. Paolo. Off the top of my head, the tallest player there is TDK.
I was going to say he's going to come into the bench. He's on. We got the tape measure out.
Evidently, according to this team chat, we have substituted Voss for Bolton.
We're going for the Guinness World Record.
Who's the smallest fucker in this team? Here, forgot me fantastic. Just to even it out. You see, I kind of like all of them, and I want to save Hewitt, but I don't. Fuck it. Arazia, mate. Mate, I can't. My OCD on average height, that's like the average height of that side is 190. I have to bring it into the 180s. Chat, you've got one person to save. Hewitt. Hey, Jordan, you'll love me then, mate. I went against my better judgment, all because you did it by height.
Hewitt.
Just be the high school bullies and just hold the ball above them for the whole game and keep handling it like that. Piggy in the middle style.
You know what? The fact we haven't picked Williams, I actually think with that injury makes Williams a better footballer. So unlucky, Carroll, Cowan, and Williams, right? Big. Does size matter, Alex? Depends if you ask your ex or your current partner. It's a fluctuating scale, I find, personally. But anyway, we've sidetracked. Chincotta, McGovern, Marchbank, Newman, Weitering, Boyd, Hollands, Cripps, Akers, Elijah, Mackay, Meyer, Durden, Kerner, Ois, Pitternet, Kennedy, Walsh, and the 5-man pine is Binns, Kemp, TDK, Fantasia, Hewitt. The selection panel has made a bold statement and said, Zach Williams, you can't come in. Cowan is dropped. Carroll stays in the VFL. I actually think, chat, we've nailed that.
Well,
genuinely. I actually think
it's not going to be far off.
That team makes me want to make a fox noise. Which we stand on. But, Leg Dog, you've got some new videos up, haven't you? I was having a peruse on the internet like I do, looking for something to pass the time in the bath, and the parent filter was still on, so I went to your website and I watched your modelling. Tell the boys and girls about that.
Yep, Alexi does on YouTube, or Alexi_does on Instagram. I do modelling, painting, dioramas, that sort of stuff. 2 videos went up this week, which was good. There'll be another video next month. And if you follow me on Twitter at LecDog, you'll see I do, at least a weekly article on Code Sports. So there'll be a couple extras coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Very nice.
There you are. The link is in the chat. Ian, you're currently live on BA through a process.
Mate, I'm in 2 places at once. I think I'm wearing the same hoodie as well, which is incredible. But yes, if you want to watch our bit of a preview show with a very special guest, Carlton royalty and legend David Rees-Jones is joining us live as we speak, pre-recorded last night with the great man to go through the clash. So head over once this finishes over to the Blue Abroad YouTube channel and catch that there. It's a lovely chat. What a great human being.
Lek Dog and Navy Blue Corners link is in. Blue Abroad, you should all be subscribed to it. If you're not, there's no fucking hope for you. That's what I can say. And Paolo,
yep,
where can we find you? Because you've got a few things that really hurts me doing that. Don't do that.
Yeah, we've got so the Jumper Punch we filmed last night. We've got the SEN Untitled Blues podcast. We have got Premier League show coming up this weekend, final match day, and just a whole heap of racing stuff going on as well. So it doesn't end. It does not end. There's a bit in there for everybody, which is good. We're covering all bases.
Mate, covering all bases. Make sure you go and get around that. Links are all in their chat, so you can go and click away. They're also in the description as well, because I'm a nice guy. What can I say? I'll be back tomorrow, so we've got loads of videos. Editing is taking ages, though, because I've got to do it left-handed. And honestly, I have realised that if I ever lose my right arm, there is no point continuing. Just so you know. So I am, but we have got a top 10 mid-season draft video, 10 people to check out. We've got a preview, and we've also got something else. But it'll be up and it'll be good because I've done it. So come and check that out. Peace, love, and light. Much love, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next week. Au revoir.
Go Blues.
Go Blues.